So we're now going to be looking at tools and methods for data collection, and all. We are not only going to look at what are the components that should be included in your surveys, but we are also going to explore other qualitative means of collecting data within the broad school of participatory research methods. So when we start looking at survey tool design, the first or the few things that you should keep in mind is gathering information, contextual information. So, where you're looking at location, school size, student teacher ratio, which will help us to actually find differences or the factors that are contributing or deterring your achievement of goals and outcomes. We should also ensure that, like we have indicators matched to each outcome, we should ensure that all our questions are based on outcomes, are based on the indicators that we are trying to collect data on, and not really ask questions which cannot be used or don't really are not linked to your research goals and evaluation questions. Crucial is also pilot testing your tool, to understand response biases, to ensure that you're not asking leading questions, you're not putting words in your respondents' mouth, but basically to ensure that your questions are getting you the answers you want, and they are not with bias. So let's look at, and this is also in your shared folder. Let's look at a couple of questions or a couple of data points that we would need when preparing a survey tool. So these are more in terms of, who was the investigator, what kind of a school it is, where was it located, when did you visit the school. A lot of times that also has, if you visit the school during holidays, when it's closed, if you're visiting it in the first half of the day when students are just coming into school. So there can be a lot of repercussions of when you're collecting data. So just ensuring that we have basic contextual information. We're also looking at school. Again, this comes under the umbrella of contextual information, looking at school size, students. Also in terms of the leadership, now we see that leadership does have or school principals engagement in the digital infrastructure program does have an impact on adoption in schools, and how the program is faring. So definitely looking at talking to school principals, understanding their education attainment, their experience of other support organizations. We'd also then try and look at attendance, because that's a very key indicator in our program. We're looking at student tests, learning outcomes. We are also looking at, what kind of methods do they achieve these programs, do they attend these programs. Also, a lot of information on infrastructure and digital infrastructure, which we can use before and after. So what you need to just kind of look at in this is, we are trying to ensure we have questions which answer or get us information on each of the indicators that we've listed. You could find a sample student survey on how you put in options, what are the data points or questions you need to get program details, some sort of perception-based questions from students. Also, like we had mentioned, how many times do you ask questions in class? If you remember, we had an indicator on student participation and engagement. So when you start looking at developing surveys, just to reiterate, ensure you have contextual information and insightful data. Each question should be matched to indicators and have a reason for being asked, and also a plan for being used in terms of creating evidence that you need, and be conscious of bias and undertake pilot studies. In the next video, we're going to look at participatory research methods and deep dive into the different methods and tools you could use to gain a much more in-depth information about, attitudes, relationships, and involve your respondents in decision making and actually planning, strategizing, and implementing the program.